tell you about the things them way I want, sir. Back in the days when the dancehall used to warm, sir. When Clinton Lindsay used to bust them, make them go on, sir. Whole heap of artists Clinton Brink come up America. Some never know say Clinton Lindsay.
Hello, welcome to Now You Know with Clinton Lindsay. I hope by this time you have subscribed and you are making comments and telling people about our website and our YouTube channel. Now, today I want to talk about, well, actually I'm going back to, it's between 1987 and 1988, but I feel more comfortable saying it's 1988 because from all the things I can remember on this particular episode that I'm going to talk about, it's leading me to 1988. So let me stick with 1988. 1988 at WNWK, like, came to the studio one night, and as I walk into the lobby at 550 Madison Avenue, I noticed that the flower pots, they have like two big, huge flower pots. They were turned over, and the dirt and the plant were out. I'm saying, what happened? So I went upstairs, and when I went upstairs, just outside of the studio, there's other flower pot, two, one on the right, one on the left, with, I think it was lilies or there was plants. But when I went into the studio itself, in the office, the engineer at the time, let's say it was Joe. There were three major chief engineers, and they will take 2 weeks shifts. Like the guy that's on duty tonight, he will be there for 2 weeks, and then he would work in the day, and they rotate these three engineers. When I got into the office of the studio, you have the office first, receptionist, and so on, and then in the back you will have the actual studios. So let's say the engineer was Joe, and I'm like, hey Joe, what happened here? I mean, downstairs the two big flower pots, they turned over, like someone knocked them over. The two outside also got knocked over. Him say, yeah, there were some guys that came to do some business with Gil Bailey. They came with flyers, and from what I know, Gilly hated to read flyers. If you come in the day, he will have by the time he comes up in the night, he will have the engineer do a quick commercial until Miss Pat, his wife, can really make the commercials. But he doesn't like when you bring a flyer to him, because he has to read it, and he didn't like that. So Joe was saying that some guys came. So when they came into the office receptionist area, Gilly didn't want to come out to see them. He was telling them to leave, whatever, with Joe. And the guys them got upset because they were there to spend some money. It was a dance or something of that sort, and they felt disrespected that Gilly wouldn't come out of the studio to talk to them, telling them they should just leave whatever it is with Joe. So they got upset, and Joe said that when they were leaving, they slammed the door, and he suspect they are the ones that turn over the flower pots on the 13th floor and inside the lobby on the ground floor. So he said most likely it's them, because they left very, very upset. That was the Wednesday night. When I came back the following night, the Thursday night, Joe said to me, hey Clinton, man, how would you like to get Gilly's slot? And I asked Joe, I said, what do you mean by getting Gilly's slot? He said, Gilly's time slot, I can get it to you if you want it. And I'm like, get it to me? I can't get it? How are you going to do that? Well, this is the story Joe gave me. When the management came to work Thursday, and they heard what happened the Wednesday night. The landlord, they called the management of WNWK and gave them immediate notice to get out of here, because they can't have it where people come at night. WNWK was the only office open overnight. Most people by 8, 9 o'clock at night, they're gone. And at the time, we didn't even have security at the front. So you could just come into the building, go on the 13th floor, and go into the radio station office. And the management, they were very, very, very upset. The owners of the building. So when they called the management of WNWK, they gave the management of WNWK instant notice. And from what Joe was telling me, he wasn't on the morning shift because he was overnight, but his colleagues told him what happened. The management of WNWK had just put up this, they had relocated the antenna from Newark, New Jersey to the building 550 Madison Avenue, and it cost them almost $250,000 to put that antenna on top of the building, which was like 15 floors, to get a good reception and get good broadcast area. And they weren't ready and willing to walk away from that investment, because they just put up that antenna maybe 6-7 months earlier. So according to Joe, they called Gil Bailey and they told Gil Bailey he's out, he's this, he's that, he's no longer to come to the station, he has lost his slot, they don't want him there, and because of him, the management or the owners of the building threatening them that they must move out. According to Joe, they had Gilly, according to him, by the balls. Gilly was on the phone begging and begging and begging. He will do whatever, it won't happen again, and just give him another chance. And, we've been there for how many years and this never happened before and it won't happen again. So the agreement that they have come to with Gilly, the management of WNWK, is that from now on, Gilly will not have anybody come to the station to do any business, and all of his business must be done before he comes to the station. Gilly was on from Tuesday, Wednesday. He was on from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. On Thursdays, he was on from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when I would come on at 2. And then on Fridays, Gilly was on from 11 p.m. until 4 a.m. So, according to Joe, he begged and them, said, okay, going forward, this is what's going to happen. You cannot have anybody that's come to the studio to do no business. If anybody's coming for interviews or stuff like that, you have to let the station know before, get approval for anybody to come. That's one. The next thing is they're gonna put a security downstairs, a security guard downstairs, that anybody that comes to any one of us at the station, the security will have to call upstairs first to get permission to send anyone upstairs. And because of that action, even me, everybody else at the station, we just couldn't have someone walk up anymore. And Gilly agreed to that. But Joe said also, they said, if they ever get a report, because they are going to authorize the overnight engineers, that if Gilly ever have one soul that comes to the studio, they must write up a report and leave it for management, that when management comes in the morning, sees the report, they would instantly take Gil Bailey off the air. And Joe was saying, that was a Thursday night, and at the end of it he said, Clinton, I'm willing to write up a report that Gilly had people still come to the studio and get him off the air. You could get his time. And I'm like, really? You would do that? And say, yeah, man. And I'm like, oh. I started to like daydream. Wow. I could use those hours. I'll split it up between me, Donald, and Clive. Oh, wow. So I said to Joe, all right, Joe, give me the weekend to think about it. Because remember now, the following week would be his last week, and I'm only going to see him Wednesday and Thursday of the following week. So I told him to give me the weekend to think about it. And over the weekend I thought about it, I daydream, and I started to see me, having more time, prime time, and all of that. But at the same time, my conscience was like bothering me. My conscience was like, are you really gonna do this? I mean, yeah, you could use Gil Bailey's time, but do you want it like this? And I'm like, no. But if I were in that position Gil was, he would have done it to me. I know that. He would have them write up because he didn't want me there in the first place. He discouraged management to bring me back in ending of 1985. Didn't want me there. So I knew that if the situation was reversed, he would have them force them to write the letter. So, and I know that most of the engineers there didn't too much care for him, because he would come in at 10:30 and just order them to make commercials. They didn't like that, and they expressed that to me for years. So anyhow, I spend the weekend and I'm thinking about the possibilities, how I would do the shows, and how many hours I would give Clive, how many hours I would give Donald, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, nah, that's not right. Nah. Anyhow, I said to myself, okay, let me check with Clive and find out what he would have done. I said to myself, let me see what Clive would have done. So I went to Clive. I went to the station the Tuesday night, because the Wednesday night I'm going to see Joe. And I'm going to see him the Thursday night. So I went to Clive the Tuesday night. I went to the station and I waited in the car downstairs and listening to Clive. And when it was off, I went upstairs, went on the 13th floor, and I waited near the elevator for Clive to come out, because I didn't want to see Joe. You know what I'm saying? So I waited outside at the elevator, and Clive came out as usual with his bag and 2 bags of records. And he was like, I said, hey Clive, hey Clinton, what are you doing here? I said, Clive, I want to talk to you, man. I said, all right. So we went to the elevator, pressed the button to go down, and then he put his bags on the ground, and so the elevator came like 2-3 times, and we were there talking. I said, yo, I have a dilemma. I want to get your opinion, because I respect your opinion. He said, yeah man, sure, what? I said to him that Joe approached me about getting Gil Bailey's time. And I don't know. Him say, you too? And I look at Clive, I'm like, what do you mean you too? The guy came to me last week with the same thing. He came to me Monday with the same thing. So I said, so what are you gonna do? He said, nah, I can't do that. Nah. Gilly and Gilly's Gilly, but I don't want his time under those conditions. I said, oh my goodness, I'm saying to myself now that it's a good thing I mentioned it to Clive, because if I've gone through with it and got the time, Clive would know how I got the time, even though I was going to share it with him. And I said, well, so he asked me what I'm going to do. I said, Clive, the fact that I'm coming to you to ask your opinion, to guide me on this, it tells you I have a problem with it. I have a problem with should I, tell Joe to write the letter? And because Joe was like, he was ready. And I said, yeah, man, don't do that. I said, yeah, I won't, because that's why I'm talking to you, because, I told Joe, give me the weekend to think about it. And I'm going to see him tomorrow night. So, anyhow, so I decided, not to do it. And I'm glad that Clive Hudson sort of helped me out to come to that conclusion. So the following night now, I saw Joe, and he said to me, hey, Clinton, am I going to write the letter? I said, Joe, no disrespect, but nah. He said, come on, Clinton, man. Come on, let's get rid of him. I'm like, yeah, he would do it to you. I'm saying, yeah, I know, he would do it to me. So he would do it to you, do it to him. I'm saying, nah, man, I wasn't raised like that. If I'm gonna get Gilly's time slot, I want to get it in a legitimate way. I don't want to be, going at some conspiracy to say that people came to him and that's not true and they fired him. Sometimes karma is a bitch, And, for the rest of the night, he hardly talked to me, Joe. I came back the following Thursday night now, and it was like, Clinton, come on, man, he would do it to you. You won't take no. If I just write up the note, tomorrow morning he's gone. I said, nah, no, Joe, can't do that. So this is when now. So Clive definitely say he wasn't gonna have nobody write up no letter to get rid of Gil Bailey, and he already came to that conclusion, and I'm drawing the same conclusion. So this is when now when Gil Bailey introduced Mrs. Older at Superpower record. The same week or the following week, he would mention on his show, if you want to buy an ad or you want to do any kind of business with Gil Bailey, you'd have to go through Mrs. Older at Superpower Records on Church Avenue in Brooklyn. And after that, I just had a clear conscience, because I can't see me plotting with an Italian to carry down a brother of mine. Yeah, I might not be his favorite person, and if he got the opportunity, he would have done it to me, but I couldn't do it. So that's how Mrs. Older got involved with Gil Bailey, or Gilly got involved with Mrs. Older. And since then, a security guard was placed in the lobby, and when anybody came to me, Clive, or the security will call upstairs and announce that there's a visitor to see me or see Clive Gilly. And then that visitor would have to sign that book. There's a log that you sign, who you're going to see and what time and all of that. And that's how that system came into being. Didn't know that, did you? Now you know. Alright, so that's all. Now you know. And I want to thank you again for your subscription and for telling people about us. Leave a comment and like our YouTube channel. Until next time, now you know.
Brink and Lindsay a promoter. Bring up the biggest set of artists from Jamaica. Like Super Cat and Mr. Early be the doctor. Only for artists, no for them me can't remember. Who can remember when them used to keep Jamaica? The kind of show that used to give out no for water. To reggae artists.